Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Behind me is an E46. It's not my E46. A client brought in this car and we're gonna do some work on that car. Show you guys what we're gonna do. So this car is equipped with an M60 engine, M60 family engine. It's actually an M62 B44, which is one of my favorite BMW engines. It's not used much in drifting because it has the incorrect sump position for a BMW 3 Series. It would work in an S chassis, but nobody seems to have figured it out yet. HDK did a lot of work on this car. The cage and all that stuff. It's originally a car from Switzerland. As you can see, it's equipped with a Vortech V3 Supercharger, very ingenious pulley system over here with a tensioner, intercooler in the front, and radiator in the front. And that's one of the things that we're going to change. We're going to move the radiator to the rear of this car. All in all, it's a nice car. I like it a lot. Simple, clean. I'll make some better footage of the interior for you guys later. Nice Alcantara dash, really cool steering column over here. Nice, neatly done, nice cage. And yeah, that's one thing. What we're also going to be doing with this car is turning it into a petrol powered car. Right now it runs on ethanol, so we're going to be changing that, and for that it will need a remap, but it will also run a little bit hotter. So I want to put an oil cooler on there. This oil cooler is for the power steering, so the car currently does not have a motor oil cooler. We're going to be changing all that, and you guys are coming along for the ride. So a big part of this stuff is pulling out all the other components that other shops put in. It's usually done really badly in my opinion. It always takes ages to take stuff out. Like it's been like almost an hour work to get that radiator out because it's such a weird way of making things. If you build a race car but you obscure all the nuts, so all the bolts have nuts behind them where you can't reach them, all the clamps are in weird locations, so clamps are going to be sitting in a way that they can't be detached, and all kinds of weird like small little brackets on brackets on brackets on brackets. It's just not how we build cars. I think it's a really bad way to build a car. You wouldn't even build a road car that way, and definitely not a race car. So not really impressed with how that was done. And you can also see how much room you now free up by taking out that radiator. It just doesn't make any sense at all if you have a supercharged or turbocharged pro car. Actually, right now you can see that the first like 30-40 centimeters of the car is very fragile because that's like the crash structure. So that piece you can see over there is not very strong. And they also cut out over here. A lot of people do that. They cut out right over there so you can run a bigger radiator in an E46, which makes it even more weak. So if you would crash this car, it would simply bend the chassis, and everything that's in front, of course, is going to be damaged. So that's definitely not how we want to be building cars, but good thing that we're going to have a go at this car. Obviously, everything costs money, so we'll just have to see how it all works. Like this is all very cluttered up with all these things in the same location. Not a big fan of that. Like it's all super close to each other. And we need to find a way to get our water pipes into that corner right over there. Yeah, this is also a little bit of a weird thing. These little pie cuts, like I think people pie cut just for the fun of it or something, or because this could definitely be done with a simple bend. But whatever. So our turn right now to make something nice out of this car. So we're pulling all the old oil out. As you can see, it's all a little milky because this car has been running on ethanol, and I like to get every little last drop out, so we use a suction pump. I don't want to have any old residue or anything in there. It's not a real ideal car to work on, as we've known. Like that's where the oil lines come into the oil filter canister. And right down there is where they go in the motor, but there's no way to reach that, not from underneath or from above, so it's very, very difficult. The whole thing, of course, although I love these motors and everything, it's very, very difficult packaging. So everything is extremely close. Here you can see the cam cover is basically in the firewall. Alternator is hitting the rails, and this car has an X5 sump on it, which is often dubbed as a good solution by people, but I'm not really crazy about it because the motor sits reasonably high. It's way higher than the Chevrolet, so my Chevrolet is like at least 10 centimeters lower than this. And if you look under the car, you can see that the sump is extending under the subframe, so it's kind of exposed. And this is like everything is touching, so everything is touching everything. So the sump is touching the front subframe, and nothing has space. The headers are hitting everything everywhere. It's solid mounted, so that kind of works. Power steering pump is very close everywhere. So it's like the packaging of this is very, very difficult for in a BMW 3 Series. Although it's a fantastic motor, so I'm not really crazy about how it fits in a 3 Series, and that's also why we've never really used it in that configuration. So that's the area where we want to be coming down with the tubing. It's going to be very, very tight, and we basically need to go exactly where that line, which is a brake line, is going. So I need to reroute that brake line. They've done a nice job, like having fitting in the firewall where the brake line goes into in the firewall area. And we'll also go here, you can have a little look inside the oil canister. There's actually a lot of tech in an oil canister, way more than people would think. Maybe I should do a separate video about how all these oil canisters work, because that's kind of interesting. But for now, just showing you guys like all the sludge and stuff that's there from the ethanol. Yeah, so we need to find a solution for that brake line as well. Like I said, the packaging is very difficult, but it's also a cool challenge. So in the back, we pulled out all the little rivets, like they riveted the window in, which is also not something that I like. We always have way nicer solutions for that. But yeah, I get like rivet. I really don't like rivets at all. And there's a lot of people that use rivets in race cars. Definitely not what I like. Like over there, all those lines are also riveted in. So that's how I like to do it. So we use the Zeus fasteners over here. This is very easy. This is my own car, of course. This is a very easy way to fit the window. And it's very easy to take it out when you have to like paint the car or whatever. So what we're going to be doing with the V8 car over there on the lift is basically the same thing as we're doing, as we've done with this car, which is make an extra parcel shelf, which is a little bit shorter. So the parcel shelf is about 5 to 6 inches further backwards, but we're going to be making an entry for the rear mount radiator over there. And basically do the rear of the car almost the same as my car, with a mesh where the air is going to come out. So it's nice that we've already done all that kind of stuff. So we have some templates for shielding off the rear over there. I know you guys all really want to see the build video of this car. And because of that, I want to make it really special. So we've got some production value in there, and we're also swapping the motor of this car with a new motor. So we want to include that in the build video. So build video of this V8 car definitely coming. The build video of that car is already online, of course. You guys are watching a lot. I think it's my most watched video. Still really love this car. We're going to be using this in August at the Nürburgring. Hope that all happens as planned. And here you can see a little bit of the strategy that we're going to be using. It's very, very dark in here. I'm about to go home. But this is a rear mount radiator car with dash 20 lines. Like there's a whole build video of this car online. I'll see if I can put it in the comments. So that's something to check. And another car that we're building is S chassis with a NASCAR motor. That's also going to get the rear mount radiator. So lots of rear mount radiator stuff going on over here right now. So I think this is a really cool job, a really cool project for a really nice client. It's just that it's not easy to work on stuff that other people did. Most of it really doesn't make much sense to me, the way stuff has been put together, like bolts with a nut that you can't access and all kinds of like brackets on brackets and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm always a little bit allergic for that. Apart from that, the chassis is HCK, so it's done pretty well. Like the cage and everything is all a good fabrication. Yeah, I love doing this job for the client, but it's just like I always get a little bit, how do you say, I don't want to sound too arrogant, but I'm like, how do other shops build stuff? You know, it's some of it really doesn't make sense. And that's like, for me, in my shop with all my tools that I've had for years on my lift, being quiet with, so I always have the doors in my shop closed so nobody can come in, so everybody's just like left in peace. So imagine if you have to work on this car on a racetrack where there's time stress. That's going to be very difficult to work on. So if it's already difficult to work on in a normal workshop, it's definitely not an easy car to work on when the heat is on, so to speak. So that's always what I have in mind when I build a car. Like, how, like, imagine that it's like raining, or that it's like 100 degrees out there and you only have like a couple minutes to fix it. How easy is it to fix? And a lot of shops really don't seem to think about that at all. Yeah, so it's always on the top of my mind when I make things. Don't forget to take a look at our website as well, einzel.nl. We ship worldwide, of course, Wisefab, Feal Suspension, our own brand Einzel, gearboxes, quick change differentials, axles, all kinds of things. A lot of fabrication components, of course, air jacks, subframes for quick change, you name it. Drop us an email and we'll hook you up.